It's Wednesday, November 7. Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. I'm Herman Green. A special welcome if you're watching online at onespotmedia.com. We begin with news overseas as Tuesday's midterm elections in the United States saw Democrats taking over the House of Representatives and are poised to exert a major institutional check on President Donald Trump. More from the CNN.
Democrats projected to take control of the House of Representatives for the first time in 8 years, and they did it by winning in key suburban districts in states like Pennsylvania and Virginia.
Change is coming to America, and change is coming to Virginia 10.
And after focusing their final days less on President Trump and more on health care and the character of the country.
Thanks to you, we owned the ground. Thanks to you, tomorrow will be a new day in America.
Republicans holding on to the U.S. Senate, boosted by flipping 3 seats away from vulnerable Democrats in red states, Indiana, Missouri, and North Dakota. But it was a surprisingly close race in Texas that pushed Republicans to that Senate majority. Ted Cruz besting Democrat Beto O'Rourke.
This election was a battle of ideas. It was a contest for who we are and what we believe.
President Trump's first reaction to the results, a tweet saying, "Tremendous success tonight. Thank you to all." Trump advisor Kellyanne Conway telling reporters the president had a successful midterm stretch.
One big lesson, you just can't get around it, is that he made a difference in so many of these races.
And the president called Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell on election night the first step toward a new dynamic with a new Congress starting in January.
Meanwhile, Jamaican attorney at law in the United States and Democratic supporter Marlon Hill believes the Brett Kavanaugh confirmation hearing played a significant role in the outcome of the midterm elections.
That fight had its casualties and its beneficiaries, and I think it helped to fire up the Republican base some, because ultimately, that is another big fight in regards to the president's ability to appoint a Supreme Court justice. And going through the confirmation hearings, I do believe that going into the midterm over the summer, it had some implications.
And Mr. Hill was speaking on TVJ Smile Jamaica this morning. In news back home, the Police Federation is this afternoon again calling for the government to speed up its wage negotiation process. The Police Federation, which represents rank-and-file members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, has rejected a number of offers from the government. This, as it says, the offers have not been adequate to meet the daily requirements of the men and women who serve the country. The details in this report.
But the greatest motivation is not a police out there hungry and cannot afford anything.
That comment from Police Federation Chairman Arlene McBean as she addressed attendees at a memorial service for Corporal Melvin Smith in Mandeville recently. She says the wage discussions have been going on too long with no end in sight. Ms. McBean further noted that the situation is disheartening for the men and women who the Federation represents.
When you give so much to a society that where we see a reduction in crime, 21 to 27% reduction in murder, and 16 to 18 reduction in shooting, it cannot be hungry police. No, we don't want that. It must stop.
Hence, this comment from the Federation Chairman.
We need some money. We need to be paid like modern police and not archaic police. And I can tell you, the rank and file members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, that large base deserves to get a livable wage.
Ms. McBean says the remuneration of the police force is of importance as they are expected to move to a new Police Service Act. But she says the current administration of the Police Federation will continue its fight in getting better wages.
Over the years, successive administration has failed the Jamaica Constabulary Force. There's no investment in human capital. That's why we're here being classified in some way, sometime. But guess what? We have to take a stance. We're moving forward in a modern force. We want modern remuneration.
Rashid Masters, TVJ News.
Now, residents in Portmore, St. Catherine are demanding answers from the National Water Commission, NWC, following what they describe as unjust increases in their water bills. The residents raised their concerns at a town hall meeting last night in the municipality.
The if they would allow us to wait on them until they facilitate the level of leakage, wastage, before they come to us for an increase.
The National Water Commission, NWSC, has come under pressure as residents in Portmore St. Catherine have been questioning the recent increase in their water bills. At a town hall meeting in Portmore on Tuesday night, the residents demanded answers for the increases. They argue that any increased consumption recorded is as a result of leakages in the NWSC system and not because of their usage. But Vice President at NWSC, Michael Dunn, said the increase is as a result of non-revenue water, which he explained is not the same as leakages.
It includes the underbilling due to the flat rate that we heard about in Dumby Holden, where we have a flat charge of 3,000 gallons, say, per month. So we bill based on that flat rate. But in the main, what has been found is that because you're on a flat rate, there's very little conservation, and you may be using as much as 10 or 12,000 gallons a month.
However, Member of Parliament for South St. Catherine, Fitz Jackson, rejected the NWC's claim.
That answer is a little bit. My understanding about non-revenue water from the NWC is the quantity of water that you treat at your treatment plant as against the water that you have billed to customers. Because you have an amount made up of that which is stolen and that which is from leakage. And a huge amount of your treated water was from leakage.
In Portmore, the non-revenue water is roughly about 55%. 55% is a fairly new network. Of that 55%, half of that is due to technical losses. Technical losses is due to overflow tanks or leak at pipes. The other 50% is due to commercial losses, which is due to theft, unmetered supplies, stop meters. And that's a fact, MP Jackson, as it relates to Portmore.
Greater focus needs to be placed on teacher education and qualification. That's according to Director of the Regional Bureau for Education in Latin America and the Caribbean, Dr. Claudia Uribe. She says the renewed focus is vital to address the issue that plagues the education sector worldwide, which exceeds mere capacity building.
Means revising the working conditions such as stability, remuneration, career prospects, among others, as well as the social standing of teachers.
She also believes it's time for governments in the region to stop the blame game.
This trend of shifting responsibility from the state onto the individual learners and teachers, and sometimes even families, has been accentuated by a recent claim of a learning crisis and by poor results in standard and large-scale testing.
Dr. Uribe was speaking at the annual meeting and 11th Policy Dialogue Forum International Task Force on Teachers for Education 2030 in St. James. 3 additional schools are to benefit from Corporate Jamaica under the Adopt a School program. The Sagicor Foundation, which has been involved in the program for several years, assists schools by, among other things, building classrooms, repairing old infrastructure, as well as staging social and educational activities. Foundation Chairman R. Danny Williams listed the additional institutions at the official launch on Tuesday.
This year, our 3 new adopted schools, Clifton Basic School in Portmore, St. Catherine, Chantilly Basic School in Savlamar, Westmoreland, and the Tobolsky Basic School in Brownstown, St. Anne, will also enjoy these activities and benefit from infrastructural upgrades. We are looking at an approximate investment of $15 million for the 2018-2019 program.
Education is a solid foundation on which our children's future is built. And through this initiative, we want to play our part in ensuring our children learn in a comfortable and safe environment. it is also important that the classroom is conducive to teaching for our educators, and that overall the process of teaching and learning is fun and inspirational.
This year's projected $15 million investment surpasses last year's $12 million spend on the program. And here's a preview of what's coming up in this evening's health report.
In the next edition of the health report, we look at glaucoma.
All glaucoma medicines either reduce how much fluid is being made inside the eye or increase how much fluid is leaving the eye. So the eye pressure is a little bit like plumbing. And so this kind of increases that outflow of the fluid inside the eye. Thus, that can lower the pressure and protect the optic nerve, which is potentially getting damaged.
That's the health report this evening in Primetime News. And now for today's healthy living tip. Get regular eye care. Know your family's eye health history. Exercise safely and wear eye protection.
And we go down to news overseas as North Korea has stepped up its heated rhetoric as they prepare for another round of high-level talks with the United States. The threats have analysts worried that negotiations could break down. The details again from the CNN.
Kim Jong-un's regime issues a threat to America. Just days before Secretary of State Mike Pompeo meets Kim's top intelligence official in New York, North Korea's foreign ministry warns the regime could start building up its nuclear forces again if the U.S. doesn't ease sanctions on North Korea.
North Korea always, before a meeting, tries to gain leverage by perhaps issuing threatening language or insinuating a threat. You know, that said, we don't want to just dismiss it as negotiating rhetoric. It does reflect their position. It also reflects the stance that they have, that they don't want to give up much.
The North Koreans believe they've already given up a lot. They've returned American remains from the Korean War.
How does it feel to be home?
Released some Americans who were detained in North Korea. They've destroyed a missile engine test facility, blown up the entrances to their main nuclear bomb testing site. But experts say some of those moves are cosmetic.
It in no way impedes the continued development and expansion of their nuclear arsenal and their missile arsenal.
Still, the North Koreans believe these have been uneven trades, and they want the Trump administration to ratchet back crippling sanctions before the regime scales back more of its nuclear program. But Secretary Pompeo is resolute.
Stray voltage happens to be all around us. We're very focused. We know with whom we're negotiating. We know what their positions are. And President Trump's made his position very clear. No economic relief until we have achieved our ultimate objective.
We go down to news and sports. Director of Public Prosecutions, Paula Llewellyn, has confirmed receiving the file from the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency, MOCA, regarding its ongoing investigations into the Institute of Sports relating to alleged irregularities at the entity.
This is the special Primetime Sports Investigative Report. Now here's your reporter.
Speaking with the TVJ Sports by telephone on Tuesday, Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP Paula Llewellyn, would only confirm receiving the file from MOCA, but did not provide any details. This comes some 15 months after the InSport Board filed a complaint with MOCA, having fired then Administrative Director Ian Andrews in August 2017. When contacted by phone Tuesday afternoon, acting chairman of the InSport Board, Newton Amos, says he was aware that MOCA investigators turned over their file to the DPP.
We know that the investigations were ongoing, and we were recently informed that a file had been submitted to the offices of the Director of Public Prosecution. I'm not yet properly informed as to what is the result of that submission.
Sports Minister Olivia Grange, who revealed that the matter was referred to MOCA while addressing Parliament's Standing Committee in March this year, could not be reached for comment up to sports time on Tuesday. In March, the minister indicated that MOCA was called in to investigate missing funds amounting to $85 million. This included $44 million in pension contributions collected from staff and not paid over by InSport to the provider. In the meantime, the management of InSports, the Sports Development Foundation, and the Jamaica Anti-Doping Commission, JADCO, are scheduled to appear before Parliament's Public Administration and Appropriations Committee, the PAAC, on Wednesday. Reporting for TVJ Sports, I'm Keon Reyna.
And that's the Midday News. I'm Herman Green. Please join us at 7 for the primetime news package. On behalf of the news, sports, and production teams, good afternoon.